Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hey,
How are you? Your
We
shadow over
are
there
in the
dancing.
house.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Good to see you as always. Yes, yes, yes. And we're back with episode 33. Gosh, that sounds like that's like what, like
33.
three quarters of 100? Is that right? But
Oh, when you what is that when you divide and it's like point three 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 three
yeah,
three three
point
three
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 three three three. Yes,
three.
so we are, wow, this is amazing. Amazing. So, episode 33, how to manage your romantic relationship in your circle of friends. Loving this topic. I'm looking at Shauna's face. Look, I can see you. Look,
It's a hot and heavy topic right
this is a
here.
hot heavy topic. Yes, yes. I love this topic and just how we weave in different sorts of topics. Sort of, we still have a theme, right? So it is, prioritizing yourself, but also how do you manage those around you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you fold in relationships, right? So that's
Wow.
Yeah.
what we're going to touch on today. So, topic one: prioritizing yourself in your romantic relationship. Like how, like who wants to start? Because this is this is a good one. Where's Jeanette?
Y'all know I'm gonna
I'll
immediately be
get close
like,
to the
so
camera. That's
Shauna,
gonna make somebody talk.
over to you, Shauna. No,
That was good. That was good.
I
Over
could
to you, Sean.
start. I could start.
Yes, please.
I could start. So, prioritizing yourself in your romantic relationship for me and my true life experience is without it, it's hard to keep that romantic relationship balance and the people around you. So
Mhm,
starts it always starts with you, always, and it
mhm.
always ends with you. Like, so you need to find yourself or figure out how, trying to say this in a delicate way.
man, just give it to him
Let's
raw.
go
That'd be all
for it.
right.
All
Yeah,
Give it to
right,
him
all right,
raw.
we
yeah.
go random, random,
Go
random,
for
random. Okay. So you cannot be all that you can be for yourself if you are drowning in a relationship and you don't put yourself first or you put other people first. So let's put this into perspective because the title up here, the relationships and your circle of friends, is I believe how we ended up coming to this topic in the first place is because it's already difficult managing a romantic relationship. And I don't mean difficult in a negative way. I mean, there are
It takes work.
challenges. It
It's a lot
takes
of work.
work. It
it.
takes work. It
Intentional.
takes work. Right. To be intentional, to have that positive relationship that you want in your relationship and to manage the circle around you. So I'll just put myself in this. One of the things that my husband and I really felt was important was not only did we both need to have our own self within the relationship, we need to be able to make sure that we didn't allow others to get in the mix of the relationship to the point where
Mm-hmm.
our relationship was not taking care of itself the way it was supposed to be taking care of itself.
Yeah.
And so we were I would say, we were very strict about our love. Like we really, we were like this. We were lock and key. We made sure that, because a lot of times when you're in a relationship, you have a lot of energies trying to get in the mix of it, in the middle of it. And I'm happy that I was with a partner that understood that he had to prioritize himself and I had to prioritize myself. And then collectively we prioritize the
The relationship.
relationship. So yeah,
That's a
that's
good
where I'm
point.
gonna start.
Yeah,
I got more.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
I think it's important. I think that's like so. As a photographer who shoots weddings, I'm not a wedding photographer, but I shoot weddings. I probably captured over 20 plus weddings, and a few times different brides have asked like for advice. So, what would how do you maintain your marriage, or like what's your one piece of advice, and or even just friends and family that I know. Like I always tell them the same thing: is this is your marriage and your relationship.
Mhm.
You have to go to your spouse. I mean, look, I get that it's hard. Some people, them and their spouse are truly best friends. Some people your spouse should be your best friend, but in some cases they still have other people that they might confide in first or go to, because that it's still not easy being vulnerable with your spouse immediately, right? So sometimes you might go to other people, but when it comes to the things that are going on in your relationship and in your marriage, you have to work that out with the person that you are in a relationship with first. You cannot be running to everybody, your mama, your daddy, like, you know what I'm saying? Because in the moment, you're going to always give them the worst of the person that you're with. And then when things are right, that's all they're going to remember, is that you gave them the worst of them.
Mhm.
So I would say, like, it's important to prioritize your relationship over your other relationships, because that's like, that's the only way to have like a, what is it? Not have other people's opinions like meddling in like what it like clouding your judgment of like what something really is or a situation really is, because everybody's going to insert their own personal beliefs and what they want, what they wouldn't do. So it's just important. And if you want that relationship to last, you have to show them that you value it and that they are important to you and they will come first. I believe that your spouse, or common law spouse in some people cases, that they should be your priority, because even over your kids, because your kids are going to leave
That's right.
Mhm.
and
And
they're
they
going to
came
have their own
second. Your
relationships.
relationship
Yeah,
came first.
Yeah. And
yeah.
they're your kids are going to leave. They're going to have their own spouses and relationships to manage. And
Mhm.
you have to be okay with just being the two of y'all when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to be left with. It's just you and him,
Right.
Absolutely.
or whoever you're with. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think prioritizing yourself, I mean, your romantic relationship, you got with this person, you're building a bond, right? But you also don't want to lose yourself in it too.
no, yeah.
People get lost in that, and that's it's nothing. Like, but they met
Yeah.
you and were attracted to you for who you are, right? How
Mm-hmm.
you showed up. If you were that person that was getting dressed up every day doing you, and you're trailblazing, and all of a sudden you just become consumed, then that sort of that's not putting yourself first, because that's
No, yeah.
met you, and it could just suck you down a rabbit hole. So that's one thing. And to your point, Jeanette, about the boundaries of your relationship, and your friends,
Yeah,
really
family.
being careful. That could be a tough line. Some of them may say, "Well, you should have told me. Why are you telling him this?" And you have to have those boundaries. I think we've
Mm-hmm.
all dealt with that in some way. So the boundaries thing is key. Yeah.
The circle around you and your relationship, you have to like internalize, and you have to question it. You have to make sure that each person that's around you is supportive of your relationship
Mhm,
first,
mhm,
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, hey girl, you want to go out this week? No, you know what, I got date night with my girl. Y'all had date night last week. Then
mm,
that, you know what, drop that zero, because you know what,
Yeah.
because no.
yeah.
You need people that's going to be like, oh man, that's wonderful, I need to start incorporating that in my relationship. Girl, you
Mhm,
guys
Mm-hmm.
have fun, I love what y'all doing. You these people like that,
Yeah.
people like that. And and you don't want to tip like, you want to spend time with your spouse. Yes, you want to have your girl time or your friendship time outside of
Mm-hmm.
it, but you have to understand your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
what their needs are, what their love language is, what your love language is, and you have to understand how much time needs to be allotted for that, you
Yeah.
know, so that you can be able to balance outside relationships. Because if it becomes imbalanced and your partner feels neglected, or they feel like you're paying their friends more attention than you're paying them or the household, and it's going to be a problem, and you could potentially ruin a beautiful relationship with someone, all because you didn't set your standards or boundaries or understood the blurred lines.
Let's just like back up and say that we're talking about healthy relationships,
mhm,
because some people out here listening could possibly be in a relationship,
True.
an intimate relationship with someone that is not healthy, it's not safe. And
Yes.
so I don't want people to second guess their intuition is telling them that this is not a good relationship and I need to get out, and maybe you need that person to help you. But like we are talking about
Help me.
healthy, safe,
Yes.
Intimate
Loving,
relationship,
kind.
loving
Right.
relationships.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad
Great
you said
point.
that.
Great
Thank you.
point, Jeanette. Yeah, definitely.
Because Linda, to your point about losing yourself in a relationship, you have to actually, like, it could sometimes it's that person, you just allowed yourself to lose yourself in this other person and now you don't know who you are. And sometimes it's that person has basically like ripped that away from you and put you in a place where now you're only dependent on them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And now you can't do anything but be there with them. So it is important to not lose yourself in the relationship, but at the same time prioritize it. It's a hard balance. Like listen,
It
Sean to
is.
say, it's
I've
work.
experienced that on both ends. I've been
Mhm.
in relationships where I've lost myself,
Yeah.
and I had to recover, bounce back, and heal.
Mhm.
And then I learned what I like and what I didn't like. And then I was able to, kind of have like these detectives, on like radar where
Yeah.
you can, kind of feel people out, and I'm
Mhm.
in a different space now. My husband has passed away 2 years now. And so I'm in a space where I'm just like, okay, what happens next? Do I don't know. It's like I've been having a lot of family and friends, and they're like, so are you gonna like just be by yourself for the rest of your life?
Mhm.
you know, and it's like you're I'm I'm still healing and I'm going through all the process, and it's a really unique space that I'm in right now because I I almost get a do-over where I can really, really be intentional about how I want to move forward with relationships,
Mm.
and the experience that I have behind me, and the loving relationship that I have with my husband. All of that is going to play a major part in how I move forward with things if the universe aligns anything my way when it comes to uh, any type of even a friendship, with a potential male in the future, anything like that. But I feel like as long as you take the time to that you could stand on your own feet, you know who you are, you know your voice, you know what you like, what you don't like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. You just have to be careful. Like right now, I have a lot of great relationships around me. And to think about having a relationship with a male, which we said earlier, with a relationship, it takes work, even building a friendship with someone.
Mhm.
And now you have to think, okay, how do I allocate time for this, for this, for this? And as things may progress or grow, you might find yourself in the position where, wow, this is really growing in the direction that I would like this to go into. I have to, prioritize, or I really want to see where this will go. It's okay, to do that and to voice that to
Mhm.
your circle. Just I don't know. I'm very I'm just gonna say when I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. Like
Mhm.
I'm diehard. I'm one of those diehard ladies. And so I'm like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna rock this, and we're gonna protect it. It's like you have to put insurance on your relationship, you know?
But so Sean, then this is for both of y'all. So like if you've been in a relationship and you were kind of lost yourself or your focus was not really so much on yourself, and then you come out of that relationship and now you're like taking care of yourself better, you're doing all these things for yourself, you're moving and shaking, and then another person wants to kind of come along and insert themselves in your life as a romantic partner. How do you allow open yourself back up? Because a lot of women or men may have fear that they're going to lose themselves again, so then they are like, hold up, no, I don't want to get close to nobody else because I'm finally doing stuff for me. So how do you allow someone in and set those boundaries with them and let them know like you're important, but also these things are important, and if you can handle that, we can rock out. But like, how do you get past that point of, I lost myself once and I don't want to do it again, so now you're not even open to relationships?
Yeah, I think you told my story right there, Jeanette.
I saw you, Linda. I read your whole
Shouldn't
mind.
Shauna's like, Linda, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just told my whole story right there. Mhm. No, I was married for a number of years where, I didn't lose my full self, but it was always kind of that sort of film, that sort of shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were certain things that kind of went on where I couldn't show up as my full self, for
Mm-hmm.
fear of like, well, why are you trying to do all that? You're supposed to be at home with the kids and doing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not supposed to be out here chasing all this, career and in these different. I could not be myself. So I was after my divorce. I was single for like 4 years almost, until I met Stanley. And it would, I mean, for me, it's centered on communication. I was already
Mm-hmm.
doing the blog thing, I was already doing the books, I was
I like
doing
that.
all the things that I was out here just doing. And we even joked about this recently. And he even said to me, like, wow, he said, your mind is what kind of got me.
Oh,
Yeah,
Uh,
we love Stanley.
yes. Hey, Stanley.
you mind me. I won't say that.
Ah.
You can imagine. But he's like, oh, cool, and I was doing all those things. So I was just me. And
Mm-hmm.
I communicated. And I even remember telling him this that, if this is not okay, I'm probably not the best girlfriend for you because
Mm-hmm.
I have my two kids, single mother.
That's knowing yourself.
I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be the best girlfriend because here's what I'm pursuing. I had just released A Life with a View, the first book I had, and it was just being honest and upfront and telling them. And since then, I've been able to grow from that. So in showing up, I showed up as myself because I knew what that felt like, not being
Mm-hmm.
able to fully do that before. And I already touched that stove once. I ain't trying to go back and be the stove is hot. You know what? I don't need to touch it again. I know it's hot. So
Yeah.
here's where I'm showing up. If you cool with that, then we can move forward. So
I
that's
think that communication piece is huge and is really important, but also not to use it as an excuse to just do whatever you want and not make them a priority too, or like, still setting aside time for them or checking in with them. Because I think Shauna, you mentioned it earlier about like making sure you know what their love language is and what their needs are. And some of it is nonverbal. My husband is a big nonverbal. And like you could check in with him and ask him directly, and he'll say, "But oh, the kids is good." I'm like, "No, dude, I asked about you. How are you?"
right.
And I think I mentioned this before, probably. I think episode 3 we talked about love and relationships, but like how my brother was just literally like, you know when you are taking advantage. So don't sit there and wait for someone to tell you that, oh, you're taking advantage and I don't like what you're doing, because you're grown. You know that you're getting over because you know this person won't say it. You know what I'm saying? They'll just let you do whatever you want to do. But don't be that person and just takes advantage of a situation, because it's just not going to end well. It's going to breed resentment and stuff like that. So I think it's important to have that communication, but also not take advantage of the fact that, well, I told you this is who I was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
now you just got to deal with it.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's a line, because I gotta be honest. I did use that a few times with like nice.
Linda, like, Jeanette, why are you? I'm not coming for you, Linda. I promise. It's just the
Right.
conversation
Right.
stuff that pop up.
Right.
Like, you'll be a good girlfriend. You know that on.
I told you.
Right.
I told you.
Right.
So yeah, I have tried it, and like we said, none of us are perfect.
Growth,
Um,
Linda, growth.
growth. I've grown since then. Yeah, just trying to not be like, yeah, it's a fine line though, because I'm gonna tell y'all, I be wanting to say it. I told you so, just to say it, but making space, Jeanette, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Knowing what their love language is, Shauna, just kind of knowing that, okay, I know, love language in our house is food. Okay, I can just go buy some food. It'll be good. And
Mm-hmm.
that's great. That's a great part, but also that, connecting on different levels too. So
Yeah. I like that communication is
mhm.
what drove you to,
Yeah, to tell, yeah.
and for myself,
Mhm.
the one word would be friendship.
Friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So friendship is high on my list. Like that's building a friendship is a way for me to be able to solidify that it's going in the direction that it should be going into, and keeping it to a friendship level based on however you and that other person feels will will give you all time to pause and connect with the relationship and really figure out, feel it
Mm.
ship, and you want it to be romantic, but it's just a friendship,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah,
took the time to
Yeah.
figure that out together.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I Your spirit, your energy, and your vibe
Mm-hmm.
too. Like
Yeah.
attraction to me is your spirit, energy, and vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get past that tier, then we see if there's could be a friendship develop from that. Then once we get past that tier, I would like to know if you're a driven individual, because I am a very driven individual, and I know that I can't be with somebody that wants to just sit on the sofa and doesn't have goals or don't want to do anything. And I'm not knocking anybody that
Hmm.
does that. It's just I know that's not going to work for me,
Right.
and then we're gonna struggle,
Mm-hmm.
And
so
I'm not. It's so funny. So me and my husband are the opposites. So I'm a busybody, first of all, but I am also very driven, goal oriented. And not that he doesn't have goals, he does, but his goals aren't around entrepreneurship and those type of things. His is like creating a home for our kids and our family, taking our kids to any and every sports activity they want to. You want to do this? Okay, we're gonna put you in that. Like that's he's a homebody and
I love
his
it.
goals is around that.
I love that about Corey. Like every
But
time you talk about him, we're always like,
Ooh. Yeah.
but it allows me to be me, right? And allows me to go and come and know that my household is still taking care of my kids are loved on. I don't have to leave them with strangers because both of us are out doing a million things.
Mhm.
Um, so, but like you said, but you have to find that person that
you have
balances you
exactly.
in the right way.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's important. I think if we didn't have kids and he didn't have nothing to focus on, that might be a problem, which is why we probably have 7 children. But it is what it is. But
Yes, we
Yeah,
love
that-
that. Every time you talk about that, we love
yeah,
it.
that's awesome.
he's a good guy. I love
Yes.
him. Look,
Yeah.
don't tell him I said this on the podcast, but
In this clipping right here, Jeanette, we got you. We got
Nope, don't make that the headliner, Linda. No, I'm just playing.
yes. I love that.
So friendships
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
relationships.
Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
That's the part right there.
Yeah.
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 Major for me.
Yes. And how you manage it, how your friends show up, for
Yeah.
you, and are they upset? Or are you a different person now than you were then because you're not with this person or you're with someone new? How does that actually play into, you know, your relationships going forward? Or even if you are with the same person, like how does the dynamic of friendships change?
And setting those boundaries, kind of like what we touched on earlier.
Hmm. Hmm.
So how do you establish those boundaries with your friends?
Oh man, I like what Shauna said earlier about the date night thing. Like, Friday
Hmm.
nights, date night and pizza night. Letting them know, telling them
Hmm.
if they're like, oh well, you just did that yesterday, then that's a seed that's planted
Mm.
for a problem in the future.
And
And maybe, yeah, maybe
it
the friend.
probably was sorry.
That's okay. No, go ahead,
Right
Shauna.
now. It probably was a seed that was always there before the relationship even came, but you ignored it.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
how they are. That's how they are.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
then it surfaces later when something's really important to you, and then you expect them to be different. But how can they be different when this is who they are, and you've accepted that, and you've never like had that conversation, or there was always an elephant in the room, but we bypassed it to go get our nails done.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he really supports you, he wouldn't,
Hmm.
ask you to not take this business trip or do this thing or whatever. Like, no. I think sometimes we have to acknowledge in our relationships when, like, because I know mine, he's not gonna come right out and be like, I don't like this person that you're hanging with, or I don't like how much they're pulling you away from me. But it can show up in your relationship in other ways, and you have to be in tune to really recognize that, hold up, something is off. What's the real root of it? Because it's not always the thing that you're arguing about. It ain't that, you know, he had to wash dishes 3 nights in a row. The issue is that your butt wasn't home 3 nights in a row and you didn't even consider the fact that this person had to do that, or she had, or he's out, and now you're mad at him because he's out with doing whatever with his friends, and you're not discussing like what the real issue is.
Mhm.
I think being in tune with your spouse to understand when maybe your friendships are coming in between your relationship. Have you ever had that happen? Like a friend or person try to like come in between you and your relationship, and how did you handle that?
Constantly. My whole
Sounds
24
like
years with Mr.
Wow.
my
Hibbins.
story.
I was telling this story today, as if you see this ring, this is my husband's ring.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm,
Mhm.
nice.
And I've been wearing it, since he transitioned. Thank you. And it has, if you see, diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So we 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 always, and we would joke about this, but I swear to you, it is true. We had people coming out the woodworks
Mm.
to try to get in between our
That
relationship,
is so crazy.
because it was something so unique. It was positive. It was a story that no one could believe really existed. You know how we have limiting beliefs around,
Mm-hmm.
some people have limiting beliefs about true love, like
Oh
they
yeah.
don't really believe that there could be true love,
Yeah.
which I'm going to drop the title of my book finally, is The Power of Love Energy, that's
Whoop,
coming
whoop,
out.
whoop, whoop.
It's almost complete, almost with editing. We still have some
Yay.
more editing to do. It didn't. Well, our timelines is going to come out when it should come out, and my hopes is that it will be completed and ready, packaged to go by the end of April, beginning of May. So, the power of love energy speaks about that, and we decided as a unit that we were not going to allow anything come in between what we had, and we weren't going to apologize for how great it was either, because at
Mm-hmm.
the very beginning, when we even was like, is it really this, can it really be this easy, this is fun, can it get, can you think it could get better than this,
Mm-hmm.
it was, and every year on our anniversary, which is in April, we would do a year checkup of the marriage, and we would talk about what we liked about being in the marriage that year, what we didn't like,
I love
and
that.
and thank you. And what ended up happening was we ended up taking up the focus off of the other person, and you realize that you start thinking about yourself in the relationship more.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you kind of pay attention to yourself and how you are in the relationship and make the necessary changes that you need to improve, and you're in a healthy relationship and the partner is moving along with you and want to grow with you, they're going to do the same thing subconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
and it ends up making it greater. So Lorenzo and I had this, I was just telling someone, like, people were naturally drawn into the relationship. They were drawn into my personality by myself. They were drawn into my husband's personality. And then as a couple, we had that je ne sais quoi. We had that unspoken. We walked in a room, people just stopped and just were like, who are, who are these people? It spoke, our love illuminated from the top of our heads to the bottom of our feet. And we decided that we were going to keep that and
Mm.
hold that, and that we deserved that, and we deserved happiness, and when we chose each other every single day.
That
And
part.
so there was a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy around us, and I could go on, I could probably write a book of some of the things people said to us in the last 24 years,
Mm.
to work on planting those seeds, as Linda brings up,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to try to infiltrate, to try to get in between us. But we were smarter than a fifth grader. We knew what we had was special,
Mhm.
and we
Right.
weren't not going to allow anybody come in between that. No child, no adult, no
Mhm.
circle, no family, no immediate, no none of that.
Yeah.
Because once we decided that we were going to be together, that's, we keeping, we gonna keep it like that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I dealt with that the whole time and forget about going on vacation. Oh my goodness. I got stories where my family thought I was probably going to throw somebody off the cruise ship.
Oh no.
It's I mean, we were very protective over our love because when
Yeah.
you discover and have and find something so true, you don't let nobody get in between that. And you don't
Mm-mm.
second think it, you don't second guess it. You might not recognize it at first. Some things might come out of left field. Somebody might all of a sudden was great about your relationship and then all of a sudden turn envy. Things like that can happen and change, but once you know it, you got to backpedal off of that, and you got to keep that good vibrations around your relationship. So yeah, we both, and I would get caught up. I was telling someone today, I would get caught up, and like we'll be out or whatever. He left for just a few minutes, come back, like there's guys coming around me asking me questions, and I'm like, hey, my husband is, or my boyfriend at the
Mhm.
time, or my fiance, hey, and he would be like, what did you do? And I'm like, I did. And then he'll look at me. He was like, you didn't do nothing but be your gorgeous self, And he knew that he knew I had that spirit. He had that spirit. And so back to the ring, I got these so that every female can see the bling bling, because my husband, everywhere he
There
went,
you
from
go.
old children to young, he would come home and be like, I was fighting them off all day, Shauna. I made it home. I made it home. He said, I made it home. He said, I'm glad you got me these diamonds, because he wanted a plain band. And I said, you're not a plain man. You ain't getting no plain band. And I need these ladies out here to understand you are taken.
Mhm.
So yeah, we were very, I would say, aggressive about our love, because it was truly, truly special, and it was founded on a friendship.
Mhm. That's
And
awesome.
that's why that's important to me.
It is. Yeah. I wrote that down, Shauna, when you said it earlier about establishing, having a friendship and continuing to build upon that friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then managing, people outside. I had it happen to me once. And the reason why I brought up the seed was because the seed was planted when I was married. And I ignored it
Mm.
as I usually do. Like, I've gotten better though, y'all. I'm getting better at that. Phyllis, shout out to Phyllis. She said I still need to do some work, but it's okay. We all got work to do. But yeah,
Mhm.
that same friend, after I was, divorced and everything, it was like, oh, we can hang out all the time now. We can go out now. But then fast forward 4 years later, when I met Stanley, it really came out. And
Mm.
he was upset. Like when me and Stanley got together, it went, this whole situation just went totally left. Stanley saw it right away. And I was surprised he didn't run. Like he was like, oh, this is crazy. What's going on here?
Nah, like just on what we know from like seeing Stanley on Marco Polo every now and then, I feel like Stanley like, oh, I ain't going nowhere. Like she gonna have to
Yeah.
figure that out because I ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere.
Oh, that's exactly what happened. Because other people who I shared the story with, like, oh my God, she could have ruined this for you guys, for you. And I was like, yeah, it was crazy. The seed, like I said, was planted. I ignored it. And so that was a friendship breakup of sorts. I think that was just sort of the straw that
Mhm.
camel's back. Was not happy that I was dating, and I didn't even date anybody. I think he was like the first person I dated after my divorce, and we just established a relationship. But it was pretty bad. So I was like, yeah, it was no real choice in that. It was like you showed up, you showed your behind. It was
Mhm.
just time, and
Cut, exit
had to
stage
go.
left.
I mean, everything from getting crazy text messages to Stanley threatening to take my phone. He was like, "You want me to respond?" I was like, "No," because I knew him well enough by then that was like, "Nah, I got this." And things went left. So to this day, I haven't talked to her. It's probably been like 3 years now, but it was crazy. Like I
I'm
would never
glad
let that
you haven't.
between. And me, I was always trying to fix it, but this time I was like, Nolan, you're not gonna fix this. You're gonna let this
Mm.
play out the way it should. Because in the
Yeah.
past, I put band-aids on it because other things had happened, while I was married. But
Holding on to stuff that needs to be
I was putting the
gone.
band-aids on. I was like, okay, you call them one day, they don't call you back for 6 months. I was so forgiving, right? She would come back and I would just like, oh, we just pick up where we left off. But another good friend of mine, shout out to Ebony, my sister, love her dearly. She was like, no, you gotta put the smack down. You can't let this happen again. And she was
Mhm.
and
Wow.
she was right. She was right. And so
Yes.
this time,
That was a
back
joy stealer.
yeah,
Trying
back
to
in
take your joy.
2015, I did not let it happen. I was like, no. So yeah, I had to squash it, and that's
it's
exactly.
it's sad because a lot of people they get so comfortable with you being single. Like, I have friends that have been single for a long time and now they're dating, and they have had like family members and friends that are like, oh well, how well do you really know him, or you were spending
Yeah.
all your time with him? And it's like, can't, like, like,
Mm,
you had me all these years, I was single.
yeah.
Like, let
Yeah.
me live my life, let me be happy, let me have companionship, like, let me have this moment without you throwing in all of your doubts and stuff. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think as friends we need to work on being a better friend to,
Mhm. Mhm.
to our friends, and just allowing them to be happy. Like, there's certain things, like, yeah, you can be cautious, or if you notice something, like, letting them know. But like, you don't have to every time you see them say something, like, you know what I'm saying, like, put it, if you really feel strongly that there's something that they need to be concerned about, let
Mhm.
them know, and then just move on. Let them know, like, hey, like, this is what I noticed. But and sometimes you just need to just shut up and not say anything. I just believe some people just need to be quiet, because
Right.
they always got to have an opinion.
I
But
know.
I think there is room for us to just be better friends. We've said this before, of recognizing like the source of where like stuff is coming from for people. Like,
Mhm.
what is that person's relationships like? Like, are they in a healthy relationship? Are they in any relationship? So
Yes.
one is just us being better friends to our friends that have, spouses and stuff like that. Like, my husband may not feel a need to travel with me when I want to take a girls trip. He'd be like, have fun. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And other people, their husband may not want them to do that. They might not want them to take girls trips.
Yeah.
That's their relationship. You have to respect that. Like,
Right.
if this is what she accepts, then that's just what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, just because your relationship works one way, you can't expect your friend's relationship to have to be the same way as yours. Oh, I would never. You wouldn't, but I would, because these are my values. These are the things that are important to me. And if this is what the only thing he asked me to compromise on is not take a week-long girls trip without him,
Mhm.
well, if I'm willing to compromise on that, if that's not a deal breaker for me, then let me take that compromise. Don't insert yourself and be like, oh well, I wouldn't take that girl. Like, I wouldn't let him tell me where I can't go. He's
Mhm.
not controlling me. I made that choice.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
I
right.
chose this, and I chose
That's right.
him.
That's right.
And I
Yeah.
think
That's right.
that's just important, like, to not put your friends in a box that their relationship has to look like your relationship.
That is true.
Exactly.
That's an excellent point, because people will try, and sometimes we kind of like, oh, we might have a crazy communication moment with our boyfriend, spouse, or otherwise, right? We may share something. What I don't like is when those friends come back and say, oh, see, I told you,
Using it
this, and
against
this.
you. I hate that.
To me, I'm like, Linda, you're so open, which is not a bad thing. You just have to be open with the right people, because no relationship's perfect. You're
No.
gonna have those days, but be that
Gotta know who to talk
be
to.
that listening friend of,
Yes.
oh girl, he took half of your steak. You need to leave him that. So it's just stuff like that. Yeah.
There was as loving and beautiful as my husband was. There was one city I was not allowed to go to without him.
Oh, which one?
Miami.
Oh,
Look,
Miami? Oh,
how did I know? I was like, Miami.
No girls trip. You could go to Columbus, Ohio. You could go to da 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 da. You're not going to Miami without me. I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me. And I thought he was kidding for a while, because I was talking about doing this girls trip to Miami. I mean, I've been to Miami thousands of times. I grew up. Um, every summer our summers we spent in Puerto Rico, Miami, and Nueva York, New York. So that was where a bulk of my family lived at.
Mm-hmm.
So when we met, we were like 23, 24 years old. So I always had it in my mind, like, oh, I can't wait till I get older. I'm a vibe out of Miami. I always had to go with familia. Always had to be with familia. It was
Yeah.
always a family trip. So it was like, oh, I can't wait. And man, I brought that up, and I couldn't believe it. Like, we was deep in the marriage, and he was like, oh no, no, you're not. No.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. I'm like,
mm,
what? I was just like, no, you're not doing a girls trip to
not.
Miami. I'm
Let me
like, you
tell you.
serious? He was serious. And I was like, all right.
You gotta recognize, like, when your man is like, when he Corey lets me live, and I compare him a lot to my dad. My dad kind of lets my mom just do her. But like that, when he says no about certain things, you know when he's serious about those no's, and you have to
Mhm.
recognize. Don't be fighting against it. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to submit, and I'm just going to leave that one alone because
Yeah,
I already know this is not going to end well for
right, right.
anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just
Wow, this is great. I love this. You ladies gave a lot of good tips and just around friendship piece and the communication. That's really
mhm.
what it is. And sometimes we let people in, but we got to pay attention to those signs of from some of our friends. Some of them do mean well, but you got to know
Yeah.
there. Mine, I totally missed it as usual. That's just Linda. Sometimes I just
We've
like
all been through it.
went over my head, and then all of a sudden, it's this big blow up. That happens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Sometimes that's necessary for growth, right? That that
yes.
Yes.
that is necessary. I ignored it for years, and then it comes up. But other times, it's maybe just also having that conversation with that friend or that group of friends,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and just being honest and upfront and telling them that this is what it is.
And then
If you
going from
can't
there,
be
like if they don't respect it after you've had that conversation, because sometimes it is that you just didn't tell them, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now you're mad because they're acting a certain type of way, and it's like, but have you really had that conversation with them? And then maybe you just need to have the conversation. I'm like, oh, girl, I understand, I completely get it, like,
hmm
but because you made it seem like it was okay and that you can just do whatever, and now all of a sudden you're pulling back, yeah, of course your friends are gonna be like, well, what's going on? Like, is it
right.
yeah,
me? Did I do something? And sometimes it is as simple as just having that conversation with your friend and
hmm
then seeing how it goes. So like if she's still divisive and trying to like, plant those negative seeds, or is she like, oh, I totally get it, you
hmm
should have just told me that, I'm good, like,
right, right. Yes, yes, for sure. Jeanette, you were talking about a book earlier when we were talking about this episode. We were talking about the care and feeding. What was the name of that book?
Oh, the Care and Feeding Ravenously Hungry Woman.
Yes.
That book.
I wrote down care and feeding dot dot dot. I was like, what was that book?
Oh yeah, it just was. It made me think of it when I was looking at our show docket. But it's just about like some sisters and their relationships, but it's not really related to this. But a book that you should get is The Five Love Languages. I think we mentioned that
Yeah.
before.
Yes.
That's a really great book to understanding yourself and understanding your spouse. And
Mhm.
ladies, if your man doesn't want to read the book, I've told y'all this before. What you do is when you get into bed, you just ask them the questions and you ask them the quiz questions and then make them answer you. They'll answer you because they're stuck. They're not going anywhere. They're stuck in the bed.
Yep.
That's how I got my husband to take the quiz because he was not going to just do it on his own. So I was like, so answer this question. Do you prefer this, or this? And he'd be like, no, that. And I'm like, okay. And some of them I kind of knew just because I know him, but I think it's an excellent book, and I highly, highly recommend it. Not just for understanding your intimate relationships, but understanding yourself and your friends and how they like to receive love and how they need you to show up for them as well, and how you need to show up for yourself and how to ask people to love you, show people and teach people how to love you. I think it's just really important for all of your relationships. That book. So
Like that. Yeah, thank you, Jeanette. We'll include that in the show notes also. Very, very good. I love this, ladies. A lot of good nuggets here to pull from. I think our individual personal stories also help our listeners to relate to this and all the hoopla on our videos. So if you're listening to, make sure you watch the video. The videos are so much fun, and we get a lot of great comments on the videos. Like
you can't see my facial expressions
yeah,
in,
the
in
patient.
just
I
the
know you
audio.
can. Like, as I'm trying to like hide, like, yeah, I did that, or I didn't do this, or how we show up for ourselves. So, yeah, love it, love it. Any other points, ladies? This is a great, great episode as usual.
Have the conversation with your spouse, with your friends, and start there, and then see what happens.
Yes, communicate, communication, talk it out, act it out. Yes, and Jeanette's point about trapping your person while they're in the bed. Long car rides are good too because they can't.
Oh yeah,
Car rides. If you're not driving, have those conversations. Start asking those
they
questions.
can't go nowhere in the
Yeah,
car.
I love the car rides. So yeah. Shauna, any last thoughts on this topic?
Cannot.
Okay,
Nope.
honey.
Mm-mm.
There
Just
you
look out for the Power of Love Energy,
go.
written by
Yes.
Shauna Hibbets. The
Yeah.
first 5 chapters is actually was approved by Lorenzo Hibbets. So before he
Yay.
transitioned, I wrote the first 5 chapters and read it to him. So
Awesome.
made sure I was going on the right path and I was telling
Yeah,
the
I'm
truth.
telling you, y'all gonna want this book because just hearing Shauna talk about her marriage and her relationship with Lorenzo, I swear it's like something right out of a movie. I'm like this.
Thank you.
I'm like this. Real people really have love like this. I'm one of those people, Shauna. I'm like people really got love like that. Like oh, this is amazing. So there
Thank
are
you.
soulmates, huh?
Yeah.
Duly noted. Let me take note.
Yes.
We're looking forward to that, Shauna. We're very excited. So
Thank you.
awesome, awesome. Well, do you want to tell everybody where to find us and where they can get our merch? Ignite your flag.
Ignite your fuego, baby. Get your
Yeah.
merchandise. We have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, a variety of colors and sizes. We also have our coffee mug. You can buy us a cafe. And if you buy us a cafe, we will shout you out on the
Hmm.
podcast. We also have our journal. So listen, this is your whole scenario right here. You drink your coffee, journal, listen to the heart of chat, take your notes, right? Thank you,
Hmm.
Linda.
So,
When you get ready, do your shower, put on your Ignite Your Fuego hoodie or t shirt. And we
Hmm.
also have mask. Since we're still in a mask world,
They're like, I
the
got
Heart of Chat has
it.
masks. They come in 2 colors. We have
Black
black
and red.
and we have red. Thank you, Linda.
And we have our heartbeat sweatshirts too. So
Oh,
just for you
yeah. Oh, I
heartbeats.
love that one. There's a specific one created for you.
My son
yes,
already
Yes.
asked for the black one. He's like, "Can I get
yeah,
that black one?" I was like, "Yes, I will get it for you."
Very nice. I love it. Thank you for all your support and your love. You can find us at YouTube, Facebook, IG, theheartofchat.com. Don't forget to get on our mailing list. Come every Monday for another Meatful Monday in your inbox because it's going to be fuego, baby.
yes.
Back. Mm.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you. Bye, ladies.